Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone. You've downloaded the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast, episode 23 for September 12th, 2022.
Now adjust the volume control so that the sound can be heard in all parts of the room.
Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois, you're listening to the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast with Matt and Amy. Come and learn and share a journey with two former craft beer enthusiasts who went from daily drinkers to teetotalers and basically never lost their love for their life together.
Hey, a freak show!
Well, hello there, children. Welcome back to your weekly freak show that is the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast. Amy, you put your phone on Do Not Disturb and it still makes noise. That's fine.
No, that's my computer.
I'm
Hold
Red
on
Boy
here.
along with the always lovely Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I am great. I'm going to go ahead there. Now, hopefully, you won't hear
No extra noises.
I put the sound all the way to 0.
I tell you, technical problems in the podcast world, kids. And I hope all the other sounds are fine because apparently
I don't think it's a problem. I don't know. Okay, well.
You never answered my question. How are you, my love?
You know what? I didn't even hear that when you said it the first time. I think maybe I just kind of tuned that out.
That sounds like an average Monday. Yeah.
It's Monday morning, everybody.
It is Monday morning. Not your father's podcast, kids. Today.
I don't know. We might have to start moving it to this. This seems like it makes more sense.
Why? Because we're actually free and we're not taking time out of other stuff.
That we're not like rushing around. Oh, we got to get this done. We got to get this done. We're like, we actually are scheduling this in.
I think it was, that's true. It wasn't really scheduled in before. It was just sort of.
We would work it in.
If it happened, it happened. Or when it happened, it's like, oh, we got to do that. That's no fun. That's no fun.
And I don't
podcast,
like
kids.
that. I don't want that to be, I want this to be something that we can look forward to.
Yes.
Some time to spend together, Matt.
Yes. Although it does make drink of the week a little weird at 10 in the morning, but.
Well, that doesn't mean that at 10 in the morning it's going to be this. It might be a different time that we're doing this on a Monday. It might, but I think
to the listener, they're listening whenever they want to, so they can pretend.
Exactly. And I'm really pretty sure that nobody is sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, a new episode didn't arrive this morning."
We're still weekly. It just may not always be Monday weekly. And it'll be this will be Tuesday.
Last week it was Tuesday.
This week it'll be Tuesday.
This week it's going to be Tuesday, and that's all right.
It's okay. Does that mean I need to change for the date to be different? So it's supposed to be on the date that it was released. Now the date that's released is tomorrow, not today. Anyway, welcome to the Logistics Podcast.
I don't think anybody cares. I so don't think anybody cares. What they care about, Matt,
is band season, Amy. It is band season.
I don't think they care about band season, but
the funny thing about band season,
maybe there are some.
I don't mind band season as much now that I don't drink because it's clearly a non-alcoholic event. High school band, college band, not so much, but high school band, yes.
Depends on who you are.
Well, true.
And
not saying you can't.
And if you're not in the stands with your own little bit of sauce there and your little flask or water bottle,
but it just was.
I did not do that.
I don't remember doing that either, but I do remember being annoyed. It's like, all right, gotta have a quick drink or two before I go, so I can make it through. Air quotes, make it through.
I know, make it through. And now we are almost through.
And then only make it to halftime and do that so that we can leave and then have another drink before, bed or what. You don't want to get too late because then you
go to the bar.
Or go to the bar.
Because that had kind of been the end. That was at the end. We had actually made we had started to, at halftime when we were done, we would go to the bar.
Really?
Yeah, we were.
I don't remember that for, I guess, obvious reasons.
I do. And now I'm kind of like, oh.
Well, and the bar that's
that's right
by high school has a lot of people.
There is a bar right by
right
high school.
Before the games, too.
A couple blocks away.
So I don't, band season's still very busy, but I don't stress out like I used to because I'm not, the alcohol factor is not an issue now. It's just.
Is that so funny? Because you'd have all this anxiety about it.
Well, yeah, you got time and all. I don't remember ever taking alcohol to the games.
No, but you had all the anxiety. You'd have to have one before.
At least, yeah.
And I mean, that was kind of the thing. Yeah, you really did have I remember watching that. It never stressed me out like that. I was like, yeah,
but you were better take it or leave it than I was.
Yeah, but I still was like, oh, well.
Oh, but the
maybe
game's over. Let's get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or halftime, whatever. Yeah.
So, and it was Friday night.
Exactly. Come on, people. Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night, I get to reward myself.
Well, speaking of school activities, I do find it ironic still that NIU's building that has a hotel that we stayed in when we had Luke for his freshman orientation.
Yeah.
We were threatened within an inch of his scholastic career to not have alcohol in those hotel rooms or in that building or on campus, blah, blah, blah. And we were there for Maggie's tour now 4 years later. And they have a bar. They actually have a bar that serves beer in the building
They
now.
just have a bar
I'm like,
on campus.
so I guess you can have alcohol now? I don't know. It was very confusing to me.
A bar on campus, which, I mean, the rec area and all of it is really cool. I think that's, it looks wonderful. But once again, you cannot in any way, shape, or form, people, have any type of a life unless
You have alcohol.
you have your best friend, alcohol.
It is a
with
bowling
you.
alley, and let's be honest, you really can't bowl without alcohol because...
Wouldn't it be a riot if we went bowling?
Sober? Well,
It would. Let's go.
I'll make a video of it. Wow, this is boring. No wonder people drink to do
No,
this.
I've actually bowled sober, and I actually had a lot of fun.
I don't know if I ever bowled sober. I don't know.
I did. You were probably drinking when we had the kids and when we'd go at the bowling alley.
Probably.
That was one of those things. So, yes, those were in the younger years. So,
In the younger years. Well, speaking of...
magazine.
none of that.
What do you got going
No,
on here?
I stumbled across... I forget what I was doing. But...
A magazine.
After magazine. I don't know. I think it's new.
After magazine?
After, AFT.
Ooh,
After
oh.
magazine. The magazine for non-drinkers and the sober curious.
Interesting. How many episodes are there, sir?
That'd be...
Not episodes.
Issues.
Issues. There you go.
I have no idea. I think it's new.
And my major was mass
You're
journalism.
yeah. It's supposed to be $19 a year. I think it's quarterly. I think it's aftermagazine.com or something.
That's not bad.
This is obviously not a sponsored piece. I just found this and thought I would share. So after
Are you going to order it?
I think so. I want to talk about it first. So
I think you need to get it so that we can talk about it.
Content. So I think I found them because they're featuring something new I found that we are getting to sample. I think it would count as our first, I don't know if it's sponsored, but it's provided at no charge to us from the company called All the Bitter, which is a non-alcoholic bitters company.
I'm excited about this.
Which I didn't know. I don't know if they're the only one. They're the only one I know of.
Is that the one that was featured with Amethyst?
Yes.
And that rituals and that. Oh, that's so cool.
So next week, hopefully we'll have a extensive drink of the week because we're going to try a couple different things with this. So
I'm excited about this.
I just always accepted, if you wanted to use bitters, you just took a little, it's not a lot of alcohol because usually like 5 drops. But
do you have the ritual gin? Mm-hmm. Oh, I want to.
Of course. I think I have all
I'm going to have
things.
you make one first and then I'll taste it.
You would taste it.
Because I never liked gin.
Well,
I hate
but
that
the
pine.
NA gin doesn't really taste like gin, so, That's
Well,
why
there you go.
That's why I like NA whiskey, because I don't like real whiskey, but NA whiskey doesn't
I
taste
know,
like
isn't
whiskey.
that? I think that is probably one of the most unique, or no, I guess not unique, but just kind of funny things that I have also encountered with a lot of people who used to drink, who now, like a lot of people who were like red wine drinkers are now into IPAs. I don't know if it's, what is it, the tannins or whatever, but
I don't.
so I've known
the same
people
tannins in the NA wine than you would in the regular wine, but
I don't know. I'm just saying.
because it's all, the tannins aren't from the alcohol, people. Just saying.
Where are they from?
They're from the grapes and the juices and the process, not the alcohol.
Okay, I don't know.
That's why you get the same tannins from like a grape juice that you would. So an NA, NA wine would
but
be
I think
anyway.
I'm just trying to. Okay,
the flavor crystals, Amy.
Like something about the flavor. I don't know, but that's very.
Well, beers do hold up better as NAs than other things do.
Actually, beer tastes like beer.
Right. Beer doesn't lose a whole lot by getting rid of the alcohol.
It really doesn't, which is surprising.
Whereas the spirits
And then
still
you
harder
have,
because they're mainly alcohol.
like athletic brewing, which like their whole point is to make healthy beer to enhance
beer's not
your
necessarily unhealthy when you take alcohol out.
to enhance your performance.
Most of them have less alcohol less calories than like a pop would have.
Yeah.
50 to 90 calories, whereas a pop's going to have, 160 to 200 and some?
Well, unless you, or just
Less sugar, too.
less
I guess, I
sugar,
don't know.
or if you get the caffeine.
I'm not a...
I don't know.
I'm not a health person.
big pop drinker because, and I don't
You
like
can tell where we're
diet
from 'cause
pop.
we call it pop, not soda, not Coke.
Well, diet soda, whatever, that kind of stuff.
You're not supposed to drink that stuff, are you?
The diet stuff in there that eats your brain.
Eat your brain, just like the alcohol does.
And that's funny because I quit drinking all of that. Oh gosh. Well, I quit drinking pop when I worked at Busey.
For those who don't know what the hell any of that meant, that's a long time ago for Amy.
Okay, we're having a conversation. Thank you for listening in.
Yeah.
Okay, I used to work at a bank, and it was years ago.
20 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah, and so that was a long time ago, which is really. But I'm not saying that I don't have a pop or a soda.
But
It's
you prefer the
it's
cherry
a
limeade,
treat,
don't you?
it's a treat, and I usually just, have like one.
A week. What I've read on the internet,
Maybe
Amy, is that
a week.
You're better off taking the sugar hit than the chemicals from the diet.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I know about that. Amy, speaking of things I do know about, what is your drink of the week?
I don't know. It says XXX
I know,
on my
because I
notes.
wasn't sure what it was going to be when I made the notes. So read the bottle instead.
Okay, mine is Buckler,
Buckler.
a non-alcoholic brew. And it's imported from Holland.
Oh,
It's a malt
Holland.
beverage.
Every time I think of Holland, I think of that. Go remember it's from Holland.
And it has a knight on here with a horse.
It's what kind of beer? I mean,
It's a malt beverage,
malt
is what it
beverage.
says. So, of course, I would like that.
it's pretty. It's light. Lightish.
Calories, 99.
99 problems, but a calorie ain't one. That's pretty good. It's pretty solid.
It's brewed in Amsterdam.
Holland. Imports. See? You can be fancy. You can be a bougie import beer drinker and not drink alcohol just the same way.
There you go. And it's really good.
It's really good. Why don't you just put it up there? There you go. Beautiful.
Right
For those
there.
on the YouTubes can watch. Mine is a brewery we've featured before, just not this beer. And this is funny. It's 99 calories also.
99.
This is a New West IPA. This is by Two Roots. Two Roots New West IPA. I don't know if I get any fun little anecdotes about it.
It's got some fun.
Oh, yes, they're here. Blending the best of New England and West Coast IPA styles. Bold, juicy hops create a crisp finish and a hint of bitterness. Taming this restless, brave, and wildly independent IPA. I'm going to know my IPA is wildly independent considering it's a can of beer.
Wow, yeah. You know what?
They even have fun thing
People
about
in New Holland, in Holland, they need to,
write stories on their beer.
put a story on here.
This even has a little, maybe I can find a screenshot for it, a little chart, like how hoppy versus the malt versus the bitter versus the sweet. So if you're buying a Two Roots beer, you can sort of look at the little slider chart and decide.
And the front of it looks like, it's like
Funky art.
some funky art. Any of it could be a tattoo on your body.
I think I'm going to make this whole thing a tattoo.
I don't think that'd be a good idea.
So there you go with the two, what was that called? Two what? Two Roots. Two Roots.
There you
go. There's your drink of the week, kids.
Woohoo!
Which we'd realize this week that we probably should start writing these down because after
We'll have to do them.
after 23 episodes, that makes 46 NA drinks that we've done, and you start to lose track. So we should probably write down what we've done.
You know what? Next week, let's do a mixed.
We're going to use all bitter,
Okay.
hopefully.
We might just have one.
No. I have a couple ideas. I got an idea.
Oh man, he's got an
But
idea.
the point came to mind though. That I'm like 40. We've done 46 NA drinks. So when you sit there and go, "There's no good NA drinks," we've done 46 just on this podcast, and we haven't done everything.
Or clearly we don't have taste.
I didn't think about that. Good point.
No. I think
But
that
we've done
it
anything
is
from wines to spirits to
that
beers.
there are
to,
options.
Oh,
There's huge options.
and we live in the middle of nowhere.
We live in the
cornfields.
middle of nowhere. We live in the cornfields, right in the middle of the country.
There's pretty way better
And
selections than we have.
yes, and there are, and we have selections here. So I just want to put this out. If you're a restaurant or a bar, or you have special events,
Don't give me crap that there isn't good choices.
please recognize that there is a market. And if you don't know that there's a market, you need to remove your head from the sand, please.
Thank you for
You
saying
didn't know where
same.
that was going. Because this is happening, and it is a huge market. I don't remember the numbers, but it's going to be,
Huge.
it's growing by leaps and bounds.
But you did learn something this week, because you had an NA Moscow Mule at dinner, and we found out it was actually 50 cents cheaper, but ironically, than the other
the cherry lime drink that I
lime,
like.
yeah, which they don't do free refills on anyway. So it's 50 cents cheaper just to get an NA Moscow Mule.
It was so good.
Which also answered my other question, like, do they make this restaurant anyway that it is cheaper if it's NA? Some places are just like, nope. But if you carried an NA tequila or vodka or whatever,
You could
put in there and you charge the same price.
Make it more.
Or more. Yeah.
Make it more.
There you go, kids. Okay, well, Amy, I came up with this question. This is like
Oh, okay.
no booze news, but it's the question of the week that I had for you, and I forced you not to talk to me about it because we would have ruined the podcast.
And please give a big, kind of give a where you're coming from with this.
Well, I will.
Okay.
If you let me continue.
Okay. Sorry.
Where I'm coming from is...
Please continue.
So the basic question was, how do you talk to somebody or approach somebody about a concern you may have about their drinking?
Okay.
Now, my specific scenario, of course, this can be like, oh, you have a family member who's drinking, or a spouse, or, but mine's a little...
Yours is much broader.
Mine's broader, more high, not high level, but it's like, all right, so the question is, you have a friend, use air quotes, a friend, an acquaintance, or whatever, on social media, who posts a lot of things about alcohol. Like, everything in their life is alcohol. Like, everything they post, and it's not like they don't post very often, but everything, they post a lot, and everything is like, you always are like clicking through, like, oh, there's the alcohol. Oh, here's the alcohol. Oh, we're drinking this. Or round 4. I'm like, and then the next one's like, oh, the hangover are harder when you're old. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. But my question came up, like, it's one thing to try and there's a lot of, if you Google things, like, how do you talk to, a family member, spouse, but my question was like, how would you approach that? And my other thought was, would I approach it, or would the thought have even crossed my mind if I was a non-drinker? I feel like yes, because like, this is a lot of alcohol they're posting about. Like, that is all they do. Like, not even a food photo in there. It's like, it's all about the alcohol. And I'm like, well, part of me is like, I don't even know them well enough.
No.
Do I say nothing?
I would say in this example, since it is more of a acquaintance, and also that it is someone that, you're observing, there's a few things here. First, you don't drink anymore. So and what do? I'm a coach.
Right.
So we do this podcast.
Right.
So on your radar, you are seeing this. You're seeing this, probably your senses are heightened.
Hyper aware.
And you also, the benefits that you've received.
Right.
And so you're a cheerleader. You're like, yes, I feel so good. This feels great. And so now your heart is very concerned for others. And so you're like, oh man, I see this. I see this. I saw it in me. I saw, a portion of that in yourself. And
maybe in part of me is like saying, I drank probably that much too, but don't post all about it. I think part of the other thing is like owning your own personal brand too, right? It's like, it's twofold. One, I don't think you should probably be drinking as much as you are. It seems to be unhealthy. Like, you're not 20 years old, but at the same time, it also doesn't look good for you as a brand. It's like, oh, you're just a big booze hound.
well, and we were,
but I mean,
I look back at our social and I'm like,
maybe
not all the time, but there was a lot. And when it comes up in my Facebook,
well, to your point, then, I am probably more hyper aware.
You're aware. And,
so do I say nothing?
And you say nothing to this person. You live your life as an example to others on, hey, this is how great I feel. This is what I'm doing. If you're interested, you want to know more, ask.
I was thinking like accidentally DMing a link. Oh, sorry, that was for somebody else.
No.
Don't think that flies? You don't think that passes?
No. Believe me, I've had all these thoughts myself. And as a coach, I sit there and go, no, stop. But
okay,
the thing is, I can go into my example with you. I quit. You were very supportive. You really were. You were very supportive, but you were also like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to quit drinking. I'm going to cut back.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and it was very hard for me not to go and become all preachy with you. And
because you love to be preachy.
I am I can be very preachy. Ask anybody who knows me. I will give you my opinion. But I had to own it and say, you know what, this is what I'm doing for me. And yes, I'm living by example. I'm going to share this. I'm not going to not share this, but I know what it was like to be in it. And so I'm not judging anybody for what they're in right now. And I don't, honestly, I hope that they would quit. I hope that you would quit. But I got to a point in my life where I'm like, I have to be selfish about my own mental capacity, physical. I felt horrible. And so I finally had to come to a position where it was like, this is for me. And I hope that you can get to where I'm at. But if you don't, I love you and I'm going to be with you and we're married. And as long as you're supportive and you're not like...
No, what do you say to me? As long as you keep drinking, be sure your life insurance is kept up.
I might have said that, but...
I don't think that's on our notes of how to talk to people.
But I would just say that because I did that, you were more open to conversations.
Yes,
you were more, like, hey, I learned this. Hey, I just wanted to share this with you. You were very open to, I think you read it. Maybe you did. Or
let's pretend. Let's just say
or
yes.
Because I shared with you emails, I shared videos with you, but you were also sharing stuff with me too. I mean, you found
reasons why you should drink.
You found like Recovery Elevator.
Oh yeah,
that podcast before I did. You're like, oh yeah, I've already watched that. I already listened to that. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
So you just have to remember that. You guys are, I'm sure that she's seeing your feed and, you just post and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. It's also based on the relationship. I mean, a Facebook friend, do not go and preach at them because they don't. Is it weird
that I also don't, it's not just this person, it's anybody. I tend to not quote unquote, posts that are purely about, look at this beer. I'm like, nah. But at the same time, I'm posting about NA beers, so
hey, I don't know. You know what?
I look at it as like, I'm not going to like that I'm not going to celebrate with you that you're drinking alcohol. If you're talking about a moment or an event, cool.
Yes, I would agree with you.
When it's specifically about just the alcohol, I will actually purposely not like it because I'm not wanting to celebrate just the alcohol. Like if you're drinking and it's a wedding or what, okay, I can celebrate
like that moment. Yeah, I can see that.
But
yeah.
like if you just say, look at me, I'm drinking this beer, period. It's like, no, I'm not going to.
And we used to do that. We still probably do that. Like, hey, look, this is what we're drinking. We're celebrating this or whatever, So I mean, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care if people drink. But once again, the whole purpose of this, and I believe this firmly, is to at least let people know and become very much aware that you are drinking a carcinogen. It's a class 1 carcinogen, the same as cigarettes. Same.
I like to smoke.
And I think,
I don't.
And that's where, and remember, doctors recommended cigarettes. It was like 4
out of 5 doctors smoke Winston.
Yes, or it would be, I don't know, 4 out of 5 doctors recommend pregnant women smoke Pall Mall. I think the difference is, doctors don't recommend alcohol, but they don't necessarily. Some do.
Well, but they also don't necessarily downplay any significance because they know that the amount that you say you're drinking is obviously going to be higher. The amount you say is going to be lower than what you actually are drinking, and then they still, with that calculus, still don't tell you.
Doctors still do recommend
to drink.
There are still doctors who will say that a glass of wine is good for your heart health. Oh, yeah. There are still doctors who say that, even though the heart International Heart
Association
Foundation or whatever
the Heart
world.
people of the world.
Yeah, I'd have to look up the. They're like, no, it is not good for your heart.
No,
It immediately raises your blood pressure as soon as you start to drink.
the alcohol does.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not anti-drinking. I just want people to be fully aware that you are drinking a carcinogen. You are drinking essentially a very, very diluted ethanol, the same chemical compound that you put in your car.
I think not the problem, but I think where my brain goes is we as humans tend to dislike things that represent who we used to be, a feature of who we used to be that we no longer like, right? So, non-alcoholic related version. These young kids, all right, so I'm 40, almost 49. These young kids who drive around bumping their bass and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you look like an idiot. But
that was you.
Yeah. And I get super annoyed, but that literally was me, right? I was that kid.
Get off my grass.
16-year-old white boy with 12-inch subs in his trunk. Boom, 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 boom. What? I'm like, no, you're a moron.
I think.
Go spend your money on something better. But I think that example being that, yes, I thought I was cool, but I really wasn't. And I think I've done the same thing with alcohol to some extent. Like, no, I realized the damage it was doing. And
The damage it was doing.
Cool.
Yes, the damage it was doing. I mean, you had the diagnosis.
Those who I see doing it to an excess, right? Like, if you still can take it or leave it and have a drink and whatever, cool. But when I see you, like, I can even see it in not you, but I can see it in their eyes. The people,
I know.
like,
I can look at people's eyes now and I can tell.
Mike, you drink a lot.
Yeah,
I can tell.
I can, because I saw it in myself. And then when you look at enough people's before and afters,
and then your own before and after,
and you look at it's if you don't see anything else, you always notice it in the eyes.
Yes. Oh, totally in the eyes.
It's clear. And I'm gonna, I mean, is my liver going to fail? Are my eyes going to go yellow? Am I going to become jaundice because my liver's not working? Fear. That's a huge fear.
Yep.
And the fear of, I know now that, I mean, I probably could have been given the exact same diagnosis that you were. I just never went in and had that taken. I never went in.
Don't go look.
Well, no, because I wasn't having the same issues
True.
that you were.
True.
And I've mentioned this before, the bruising on my legs, I now know is because my liver wasn't working correctly.
I mean, also you're a klutz, but.
No. That's what we went with.
Right.
And I still have a few bruises, but when I quit drinking and that cleared up, that was a huge eye opener. And then that made me actually go back and really think about how I was feeling. I was having times where my stomach wasn't feeling right, dull pain, but not enough that I'm like, I don't know. Not enough for me to take notice. And I think that was just a part of that denial. And then when you get to a certain point, you're like, all of a sudden you get out a few months, you're feeling amazing.
Right.
Then you're like, oh, wow, those things. And when you look down at your legs and you're like, I don't have any more bruises.
Funny how that works.
What's going on? And then when you watch a show, you watch an interview with a liver specialist doctor. I can't, what it is. I don't know.
Nephrologist or something?
Yeah. Oh. And I think you're right.
I don't know. Google
and
that, kids. I don't
when
know
they talk about the bruising on your legs and or on your body, and I'm like, it just, when I heard that, it just hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, you could have been, if you would have kept going, because there were times, I've told people this. I know that there were times when I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought, if I keep going like this, I'm going to die.
Oh yeah. So, let's say...
okay, so now let's go back.
So let's pretend, just for coaching's sake, let's say it's not just a random social media friend, but a real person
Yeah.
that I want to talk to in my life. How would I do that? Now, I have some points that I Googled. I don't know if they're coaching accurate, but
I think that it's
should I go over some of these and you can tell me if they're good or bad
and
ideas?
I will say that this is just a really personal subject.
Right.
And
might have talked to him more than once. Probably will.
And I think the other thing is once again, living your life to the fullest after you have quit or, you're
Right.
taking a break or whatever. That is the biggest influence on people. Like, oh my gosh, look at them. They look great. They're telling me they feel great. I can't believe that they don't have a drink.
Well, your example of not, you doing your thing and not pushing it towards me is a good example of, you could want me to quit all day long and provide me quit lit and all that stuff. But until I really have the desire, it makes it very hard for that to stick. I mean, short of maybe going to a program or something, like just doing it yourself, right? Like, do I really want to? Like, you have to want it to some extent.
Yeah. Oh, you need to have that readiness for change,
right? And even then,
you're willing.
It's still hard.
Yeah, and I think that everybody, if you are sober curious and you're wanting to do something like that, take a break. Just see how you feel.
Right.
Okay, so let's get on to this.
All right, so I want to talk to somebody. I want to go over these with you, and you tell me how good these ideas are or not. So if you want to talk to somebody about their drinking, do talk to them when they're sober.
Yes.
That seems like it.
Don't talk to somebody who's been drinking.
Although, I would say the flip side is if they've been drinking and they're in that guilty phase, they may be more receptive to the idea, but
they're not going to, but they might not remember.
Kind of like quitting smoking when you have like, well, one more cigarette, then I'll quit. Well, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think, or it needs to be when they're not like really drinking.
Right.
Like, don't have this philosophical conversation with them after 2 hours of drinking.
Right. Express your feelings about their drinking using I statements. So I've noticed that you aren't so positive since you've been drinking more. I feel sad, or I thought it was great when you were going to yoga and football and other things. So
is this in context that the person is no longer doing certain things?
Well, those examples I did, but I think any concern you have is saying, I feel that this versus your drinking is a problem.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I agree. But you don't want that person to feel like you're attacking them.
Right. Which kind of goes down, like bring up specific behaviors that worry you. So like, I worry about you when you drive after you've been drinking or whatever, right?
And I think regardless if somebody is drinking too much, if you do see someone who is in that destructive type of behavior, like driving after
well, our interview last week, 2 or 3 drinks and you still get a DUI, kids. So it's not like you have to be.
I think that is something that, saying because there's always been that, oh, well, you know what? I drink better after I've had a couple of drinks.
You drink better? You don't talk better.
I mean, I drive better. Sorry. I've heard that. That I've heard people actually say, oh, I drive better because.
Well, back to bowling, I bowl better after.
Because I'm really concentrating.
Are you though?
Your brain is impaired. And when your brain is impaired, your brain also likes to lie to you.
It thinks it's doing I'm doing a bang up job.
You're doing a great job.
Explain that you're worried about the person's health. That's a good one. And that's a big reason I quit. I didn't want to die at my own hand. Suggest activities that don't include alcohol, which, back to our football conversation, cool, but I get it. But at the same time, it's going to be hard because I know my own scenario is like, well, I don't want to go to an activity that doesn't include alcohol.
I know.
Like, that was a big determining factor of if I would do something.
But if it's alcohol? A one-on-one with somebody, like if it's a friend of yours, I mean,
hey, let's go to the zoo, Ray.
I think if it's a one-on-one with somebody, you know, saying, hey, let's meet for lunch or let's meet for coffee. Or, hey, can we get together for breakfast? I mean, there's a lot of people.
I would have said no because of my stomach issues because of drinking. I never did breakfast anything.
But that's still a way that you can, there's different things that you can
Right.
You know, or if
I was
you
gonna say,
do,
like-
or if you do go somewhere, you know, once again, going somewhere that offers you NA options,
True.
and that also does open up that opportunity to talk. Like, oh, he's
look,
having
I'm
an
here and
NR,
I'm not
great.
drinking alcohol.
And I know that there are a lot of people. Well, what's the point? Okay, when you say that, and I've said that myself, what's the point? Think about that. What's the point? When I hear that now, what I hear is, I want my drug.
Right.
And
I'm only drinking this because
I want
of the
my
alcohol.
drug. And the thing is in our society, we have made it alcohol and not drugs. And alcohol is a drug.
Oh, drugs and alcohol.
Drugs and alcohol. So, but alcohol is a drug.
And I want a new drug.
And and that's the big thing. I mean, the alcohol industry was brilliant in that. No, we're going to call it alcohol, and we're going to give it its own little special designation, so it's not as bad as drinking or doing drugs. So,
I totally agree. And you can direct them to helpful resources such as this podcast or other websites, and then support them if they decide to get treatment. Which I think, I
think obviously
that's
those are all good. I mean,
I think the resources are one of my favorites. Like, hey, here's a book if you choose to read, or hey, check out this podcast.
I love the podcasts. I love the fact that you can direct people. There's so many different podcasts. I mean, I listen.
And you know what I like about podcasts? A lot less reading.
Well, you can listen to Audible books.
That's true. That's true.
I think those are awesome resources as well. And being able to go on a walk, like, hey, you're working out or whatever, you're going to go do this. Here, listen to this. It's just another way that you can just educate people. And it's not anything, you know, if somebody asks you, oh, hey, how'd you do that? Hey, you know what? Maybe you could listen. Why don't you listen to this? This is some great information for you.
So, I mean, we have some don'ts. So I want you to rate these don'ts. Don't label the person or call them an alcoholic. Why wouldn't I want to do that? Is that because there's degrees? And I can say, no, I can argue against that. No, I'm not an alcoholic, because an alcoholic lives under a bridge.
Because what's the definition of an alcohol, really? Really, what is a definition?
Really? I don't know.
Well, no, there is no
hard and fast
definition of what an alcoholic is.
So somebody determines you've gone far enough.
It's like, okay, because if you go and you would go out and do these tests, like, am I an alcoholic? Well, I don't know. Am I? Well, I don't do this. It's so subjective.
Right.
I mean, until recently, you know, in the last probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years, they didn't even call it, they just said, oh, you're an alcoholic.
Right.
But now they're looking at alcohol use disorder
as a spectrum.
And so it's like, okay, are you a moderate, or do you really drink occasionally? Take it or leave it, which means really.
How do you define occasion?
I would say occasionally is maybe once a month.
I have a lot of occasions.
I mean, I thought I was a moderate drinker. I thought I was moderating when I was drinking as much as I was. And I don't know. I didn't ever assume. And there's always this comparison game. Like, what's an alcoholic? Well, everybody's definition really of an alcoholic is somebody who's lost their job, they're homeless, and, you know, they're drinking out of a brown paper bag.
Not as bad as John Doe, so I must be okay, right?
Yeah.
And that was always the threshold.
And then it's
so
the
to
rest
keep you drinking,
of us.
it's like, well, I'm not that bad, so I must be fine.
And
so if I'm not like horribly bad off, then I must be fine. Well,
yeah.
That's not really how the game works.
And the term alcoholic, that's what kept me stuck for 7 years. For 7 years, because I'm like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not that. That's not me. I'm not going to wear that label.
Right.
Now, I know that some people do, and that's okay. Some people look at that as a way to empower them, and that is wonderful.
Well, I put the name on it, and sometimes that's easier.
But this is just a personal. It's all personal, really. Like, okay, what's going to resonate with me? I said it right.
And sometimes when you quit, you find your why. Like, I quit for health reasons, but now I don't drink because I don't want to poop, because of my stomach problems. That's really what keeps me from drinking, and that's all it takes. I'm like, I don't.
Is that it though? There's nothing else.
No, but
because then I'm kind of sad for you.
No, but if I boil it down, when push comes to shove, like if I would get a craving, it's like, if I do that, then I'll have one, then I'll have another, and I know I won't just do one a month, and then I'll have bathroom problems, and I don't want that.
Wow, you really play it forward well.
Yeah, and then by the time that's all said and done, I'm like, yeah, it's not worth it. I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
By that point, I've moved on. this plays right into my comments about the social medias. Don't use guilt. Don't lecture the person on their behavior, which I think, especially if you don't know the person very well.
You cannot lecture people on this. I mean, if I would have come to you and said, you have to quit drinking.
You're wrong. You need to do this.
I'm seeing this and this is wrong and blah, blah, blah. What would you have done? You would have automatically retracted, pulled back. Yeah. Not going to do that. Right, whatever. Right. And you would have probably geared it up.
Probably. Bring on that way. I'll show you. I don't have a drinking problem, but I will now. Don't use guilt or bribe the person to stop drinking because that's not under your own.
No. I did that with myself.
But
I would use guilt and bribes to my own self, like my own mind, my own negative self-talk. Like, okay, you did this. Now, only if you won't do this. Okay, for the next few days, we're not drinking to prove it to myself that I wouldn't drink.
But then when we do, then we can just tie it on.
And then it would be like, okay, we're going to hold on until Friday.
And then we'll make up for lost time. Yep.
Yeah, so I would not recommend that for yourself or with others.
Don't plead with them to stop, which I get it. Part of it's just, I think you can plead your case or air your concern. I don't know where the plea to them does. Like, I think the problem is you can share the I statements again, right? Like why I am worried or why I'm concerned. I guess the pleading of, we just want you to stop for you. It's like, no, if I don't really care about me, why do you're not going to talk to me?
I think that is so hard, and it just kind of depends. I mean, no, it doesn't work.
No.
But I can see that person who, if you were in the hospital and your liver was failing and you got out of the hospital and you were getting better to an extent, and then all of a sudden you decided you were going to drink again, I could see, me pleading with you,
right,
going, and that's a personal thing. I mean, I get what they're saying, pleading with them, but it doesn't work. And it does make the other person feel bad, but you're feeling bad too. And I mean,
it's the hard thing is there's no perfect answer.
You want that person to live. And I think there's that point where you could go to somebody and just say, I don't want to live on this world without you. I mean, I think that is a better way than going and
self-destruct.
I don't know. It's really hard.
It is, Amy. And the last one is don't expect the person to get better on their own. So coaching, podcasting.
I don't know. Don't expect them. I mean, I guess I would go with this, like
support them.
I would support them. You supported me.
Right.
I went out and got.
I think there's a lot of a lot of it is on you to do the work.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean others can't support you or provide you literature or podcasts or, maybe help organize an event that's not totally booze focused.
Yeah. And I would also say that a person, if you're trying to quit, is to really get into community. There's so many online communities, Facebook. This Naked Mind has their companion app where there's communities, so you can do the the alcohol experiment on there for free.
Right.
And so there's that type of community where there's lots of coaches who are pitching in, but getting that emotional support, but as a person, giving someone support. Because like when you decided to do it, I'll be honest with you, I remember going, because I was kind of sneaky on that.
Oh, were you?
Yes, because I'm like the little, the head coach of This Naked Mind popped up, and I could have left it muted, but what? It's playing. I'm like, well, I'm gonna listen to this for a little bit, and then I'm like, I'll go for it. And you said, wait a minute, what's that? I thought this was only for girls or women or whatever you said, and that was me being
finding your tribe. That's part of it, right?
Sneaky.
You're sneaky.
I was sneaky.
You are the sneaky one.
Is that it?
Those are all the tips I've got, Amy, for tippiness. But I think, yes, and personally what I'd say is, for me anyway, I think it's because I've had friends who quit drinking, who are quote unquote alcoholics, who quit drinking long before I did. And I always says, I can't hang around them because I drink and they don't. And I think it depends on who you're talking to. Everybody's going to have their own threshold, but I don't I don't consider myself to have a problem. I just choose not to drink for a lot of reasons. If you want to drink, fine. And I'll go to bars and I hang out with people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anybody to feel like, don't bring me to an event. Oh, because he doesn't drink. So
Now, if you want to make
really
me
bothers you,
feel
then-
better, please have an adult beverage that isn't pop.
yeah, we've had that before.
Pop
they
or
can have-
tea.
they can
Or
have
I mean,
pop.
sometimes the bar doesn't even have like
Tonic.
tonic.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Tonic and lime's a good faker.
or
That's a good easy way.
it's like, come on, give me something.
Right.
That's where I get.
Just give me a
It's
juice
more of
box
it.
and some
Just
chicken
yeah,
nuggets.
exactly.
Come on,
Oh,
people.
thanks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sit in the kids' table. I mean, so those are things that I would like to see
More of. Sounds like our 46 drinks we've had. So, not right this morning, but. Hi there, Coach Amy.
But if we did, it wouldn't
Yeah.
matter.
Hey kids, if you have
Be
feedback,
full.
you can just send it to Coach Amy and Amy at jointheirside.com. Jointheirside.com is also where you can find our 5 o'clock somewhere alcohol-free edition. I remember.
Woo, you got it.
I'm so good. I'm so smart.
Yeah, you just sign up. I'm working on eventually getting a newsletter to start coming out to people with
She
just
says that
some
every week, doesn't she,
tips and
kids?
everything. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm
gonna do it.
I don't want to give a date because
Don't
then I have to be
Then
held
you-
to
yeah, that's what
so
helps,
I'm not
though,
doing
see?
that
Hold
yet.
your feet to the fire.
Sorry.
All right, kids. Well, yeah, links are in the show notes below or above or wherever you're at on
And,
these.
and if you want to, just talk, and you want to do a discovery call, talk
Free
to me
discovery
about, that's always free.
schedule a
and-
discovery call because that's one less hour she'll be preaching to me about it. So
And I don't preach to you about it anyway.
that was one of our things. Don't preach. Don't preach.
Don't preach.
kids.
But yeah, this was a good little chat. Little coffee talk
Little
here
coffee
on
talk,
a
kids.
on a Monday.
All right, well, as our music winds down, well, I'm wishing you peace and love from the cornfields. I am Matt Hall, Coach Amy, and we are
Out.